Ever wondered if your advertising dollar is really working for you? If your ad would have been here, you and more than 4 million people would be listening to it right now. Contact ads at xzoneradiotv.com.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Late night signals whisper through the sky, stories of the unknown drifting by, from shadows deep to stars above, and truth and mystery are what we dream of. From a humble start on AM air, a voice in the night reaching everywhere. St. Catherine's heard that distant tone. Rob McConnell's voice, the X Zone. Through the years, through the miles, through the questions and the trials. Now we're back on 12:20 a.m. Classic sound, it begins again. CFAJ, your hometown radio, where the truth and the strange still flow. From Ontario skies to the great unknown, with Rob McConnell on the X Zone. 33 years, the journey's long. Rob kept the signal steady and strong. Through every guest, through every call, sharing the mysteries with us all. From haunted nights to cosmic light, he's chased the dark, he's chased the bright, and now the dial comes full around, back where the signal was first found. Every mile, every show, led him back to what we know. Now we're back on 12:20 a.m. Classic sound, it begins again. CFAJ, your hometown radio, where the truth and the strange still flow. From Ontario skies to the great unknown, with Rob McConnell on the X Zone. Across the dial through night's embrace, 1,000 stories time can't erase. From truth seekers to voices bold, every secret waiting to be told. From coast to coast the signal flies, connecting minds beneath the skies. And every night that mic turns on, Rob McConnell carries on. Turn the dial, hear the call, mysteries waiting for us all. From then to now, he's never gone, just riding the signal, carrying on. Yeah, we're back on 12:20 a.m., right where the story began. CFAJ, feel the tone, Rob McConnell's X Zone. From past to present, the legend's grown. 33 years and we're back home. So listen close, you're not alone, with Rob McConnell in the X Zone.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight Eastern, right here on the CanCom Broadcast Network and our broadcast family of affiliates right around the world, and of course, our AM station right here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, that stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. Exonation tonight, my first guest on the Exxon, we welcome a man whose journey bridges science, spirituality, and the unseen realms that influence our daily lives. Christopher Macklin is the founder of Global Enlightenment Project, an international organization dedicated to healing, empowerment, and raising human consciousness. With decades of experience working in energy medicine, Christopher has helped thousands around the world through his unique ability to scan, clear, and recalibrate the human biofield, removing energetic interferences that many believe to impact physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. From chronic illnesses to emotional trauma to spiritual attachments and unseen energetic disturbances, Christopher's work takes us into a realm where conventional science meets the extraordinary. His approach challenges traditional thinking and opens the door to deeper questions about who we are, what affects us, and how we can truly heal. Joining us now to help explore the unforeseen forces shaping our lives and the path to higher consciousness is our guest this hour, Christopher Macklin. And Dr. Christopher Macklin, welcome back to the X Zone. Always great having you with us, sir.
Oh, Rob, thank you for having me back on again. It's wonderful to be here. The X Zone. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Every time you're on the show, we get so many emails about you, and the great work that you do. People go to your website. And for the listeners who are just joining us because of the many new affiliates that we have on since you were last with us, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found yourself doing the wonderful work that you're doing today and helping so many thousands of people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'll skip the early life, but it was interesting when I was born. I was kind of different. I saw things that people couldn't see, like entities. I could see craft in the sky and things like that. Of course, you get targeted. Born 2 days after 8 strokes. 2 days after I was born, burnt my back, and various things happened. Yeah. And then I was terrible at school, of course, because I've got severe dyslexia, and so I struggled with English, but brilliant at maths, and so I was always in the remedial class, and eventually they put me up, and I went to high school, and I started to excel in maths, but still terrible at English. Now I'm still terrible at English. I'm okay reading, and I can read, but when it comes to formulating papers and things like this, not good at it. That's why I have a ghostwriter. But anyway, moving on, of course, I got a degree in electronics, masters in software and control systems, worked on aircraft, worked on many different projects like the Eurofighter project, Typhoon, and things like that, Airbus, and then I had this great idea, let's go and build. I was buying houses, refurbing them, and then keeping them, renting them out. I had about 28 houses in England, which is incredible. And I had this great idea. Let's build 176 apartments, and that was, oh dear me. Oh dear. Yeah, that's somebody like Trump League, not mine, But anyway, I bought the land and spent millions of pounds, and within 8 months, they said these apartments, because it's 2007, these apartments are worth £220,000. They're now worth 90, about half. We want our money back in 14 days, and that's where it really took off. I mean, in the early days, I still saw craft in the sky, and I still entities, and I talked to people about it, especially when I was 4, when an entity appeared in my room. I now know it's an Anunnaki. I said, Dad, there's a dinosaur thing in the corner of the room. Where? It comes running. Where? It's there, Yeah. And I realized he couldn't see it, but I could, so I learned to manage them. But, I used to go for readings, different things, but didn't really work on myself. Then I took bankrupt in 2007. whole journey began. I spent probably 4 years. I went to Belize, went all over the world, different places, doing healings, and because I realized in Belize, I found out my past lives. I thought, I'm meant to be doing that now. And when you've got a gift, always encourage people out there that if you've got a gift, it's important to find out who your soul family are, whether Palladian, Arcturian, whatever they are, because I think with that, you can meditate, and your gift is different than somebody else's. If someone's got like a methodology, like anything really, that's their interpretation of their gift, and they try and get other people to do the same thing, but it doesn't work. So I think it's important to meditate and understand how your gifts work.
How can one know what their gifts are, though, Christopher? I'm sure that there are people listening around the world tonight who are saying, geez, maybe I've got a gift and I just don't know it. Maybe I'm from the Pleiades. Maybe I'm from the Orion Belt. Where am I from? Who am I? All these questions that get to be opened up. How do we find the answers, Chris?
I think you have to use your intuition. And, one of the problems with asking where you're from, if you say, where am I from? Am I from Pleiades? Well, you've got some Palladian DNA, so you'll get kind of, Arcturian DNA, yes. There's a mixture of DNAs. So it's really the wrong thing to ask.
I see.
What you should ask is, where is my soul from? What soul family? There's a big difference. So, and what you got to do is go through the different ones, like my Palladian, it doesn't really resonate. I'm an Arcturian, Lemurian, Atlantarian, Andromedan, Lyran. I was, born as a Melchizedek being, as you know. So, So, and the other thing about it is that, of course, some of these races, like Palladian, they can go in a normal human body. With Arcturian, Melchizedek, and one or two of the others, you can't. So what happens is, if you volunteer to become a starseed, I don't know what you're thinking coming down here, but we all came down here and volunteered, and I love the place. I love the planet. Behavior's a bit kind of crazy at the moment, but I think, to say the least, that's probably a complete understatement.
Yep.
The planet's nuts, Well, the behavior on the planet's nuts. But I think if you're Melchizedek or Arcturian or one of the races that you need more DNA to be able to sight your soul inside the body, then what happens is that your mother kind of gets abducted. So a craft will come, abduct her, they'll seed you inside the mother, and it was agreed, of course, before she came down here that, yes, I'll bear, the child that you want to bring down here as a starseed. So some mothers get abducted, and, my mother was abducted to get enough. I've got 84% Melchizedek DNA, so...
Wow.
And it means that, the light body in your DNA can sit the soul inside. So, yeah, it's really interesting. So I think...
all right, Christopher, I hate to interrupt you here, my good friend, but we have to take that cursed break. Sometimes I just wish I could skip it, but I can't. So please stand by, X-Zone Nation. Our guest this hour is a good friend of the X-Zone, Christopher Macklin. His website, Global Enlightenment Project. .com, and Christopher and I will be back on the other side of the short break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the CanCon Broadcast Network, and we're streamed around the world by our good friends at Classic 1220 CFAJ, who stream us at classic1220.ca. We'll be back on the other side of this break in a very short period of time.
From coast to coast, the signal flies connecting. She left the port of Superior Town, her hold weighed down with steel. A proud old ship on the inland sea, with a heart of iron and keel. The winds, they whispered through November's chill as the skies began to moan, and the crew looked north through the gathering storm, far from their hearth and home.
Exonation, my guest this hour is a good friend of the Exxon, Dr. Christopher Macklin, and his website is Global Enlightenment Project.com. So Christopher, is it hard for somebody to realize where they're from? Now, I understand where you were saying you would say to yourself, well, am I from the Pleiades? Nah, that doesn't ring true with me. And you would go down the list. But how much does your want and desire to actually come from somewhere else, that even though you're not from that place, you want to be from there so much that you say, yes, that's it. I feel it. This is my connection.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you need to. In that case, if you have this wanting to be a particular, to be from a race, you can obviously overpower.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest importance is it's always that gut feeling, when you first ask. And don't forget, you're asking, where is my soul family? Where's my soul from? Mm-hmm. And is it Palladian? But it's that first feeling, because if you use your mind, you can actually veer off that. No, I think that's wrong. I think I might be from, Arcturus or whatever. So, it's important to get someone else independent who doesn't know you. If you know someone who's good at dowsing with like a pendulum or something like that, they can douse it for you. And, that could be quite useful, especially if you're doing things. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you first start, I think it's good to have other people to check and cross-check what you're getting. And I did that as well. I came up with, like I say, when you're really developing your gifts, you've really got to meditate and connect with your soul family. It sounds brutal, but when I first started meditating with my soul family, the Melchizedek beings, nothing happened for like a long time. Like I think it was a few months, and I meditated every day. And in the end, one day I said, "You know what, guys? I'm going to keep doing this. And you're going to contact me eventually." Because it sounds brutal, but they don't want to waste their time with people who aren't dedicated. So they want to see dedication, and then when they connect with you, crazy stuff happens. You start getting visions of things. You start getting downloads, which means a download is basically downloading without you realizing it, and then suddenly you just know something. And how the heck did I know that? And it's really surprising. So, so if you kind of meditation, but I mean, when I was doing it, I was meditating for 4 to 6 hours a day once I connected with them. And they were showing me cause and effects in visions, and in meditation. Mm-hmm. And that's where I learned all this stuff from. But if you use somebody else's modality, I don't think it's healthy, because that's their understanding from their perspective, from their off-planet beings, from their guides. So I think, if you want to create, I mean, my modality is very different. It's, and I've just kept developing it. You don't know everything. You're always learning something, every week. It's amazing.
Now, how do these people try to connect with you? You were saying that you do a lot of meditation, and 4 to 6 hours when you first started.
Yeah.
What kind of meditation did you do?
Yeah, people will say, which one should I buy one? No, another thing you have to do as well is train yourself to let your mind completely go. Like just let your mind go, no thoughts at all, still the mind. And it takes some training to do that, because most people, I'm meditating. Oh gosh, I've got to go and buy a steak from the shop because I've got nothing for dinner. I've got to do this and pay that bill, because the busy life people lead, they're on this hamster wheel of, confusion all the time and stress. Yeah. And I think to get to that place, it takes a lot of training. I mean, I would start, if you've got things on your mind, write them down and put them at the side of the bed, and then just get there and say, okay, we could do those later. I've made a note of them. Right, and just let your mind go. When you let your mind go, it's incredible. And, I see visions. I mean, I can see through the veil. So, it's amazing.
How do you stay on the straight and narrow, Christopher? And what I mean by this is, how do you remain with 1 foot in the other side of the veil and 1 foot over here without kind of wanting to go completely to the other side?
Well, it's kind of tempting, but I was here. I mean, I think it's good to know your purpose. It's good to probably know why you're here, if you're helping people, everything else, and really take that on board. I mean, Rob, I'd be a very different person if I was in the Matrix now. I'd be crumbling. But I think you have to go through a spiritual journey, and it's not an easy one, because as you want to grow and you start processing emotion, you're working on yourself, you're meditating and doing all this stuff. As your vibration heightens, so the entity attacks, for the malevolent ones, the bad ones, for example, Anunnaki, Draconians, you've got Luciferians, you've got snake beings, you've got Archons, all these sort of things. And they start to attack you and attack you really badly. I had people attack where, ladies have felt they've been violated sexually from an entity. They could feel it. And yet, they said, well, it wasn't there. Well, it's because it's an energetic being, but it still gives you the feeling. And what they're doing is trying to scare you so you'll drop in vibration back to, not interested. So it's a big spiritual battle. It really is. And I think, you've got to know that. And the power of maps of intent or prayers, I prefer the name map of intent because that's what it is. And I think, if you say these protection maps of intent or prayers, whilst you're doing it, once you've removed an entity and you're clear, you can say, the 27 Easter Merkaba field prayer. It's on the website. Say it 3 times a day. That will keep these entities out whilst you're getting your vibration up. But once you've got your vibration really high, what happens is you get to a threshold. I call it the God space. It's a place where you kind of surrendered. You surrendered. God's got my back. Don't have to worry about a thing. And, you've taken your power back. Then that you're a powerful being. Because a lot of people start off and, they're crushed. I mean, imagine going bankrupt, marriage splits up, I was homeless, everything else. And I remember sitting in the south coast of England, sitting in a car, when it was dark, bawling my eyes out, it was pouring with rain, grey as anything, because it's pretty grey in England most of the time. So, and, and I said, is this it? What's going on? And one thing I learned as well is that, people who are more evolved, you don't tend to have that many friends because people think you're weird, And so you can't talk to that many people. So I learned that I can just talk to the because that beings 24/7 when I connected with them. So, yeah. So I think it's been really great for me, and I've got power. I'm okay on my own, obviously I'm married, but, I'm okay to sit and just meditate and be, I don't have to be doing things because, when you work on that many people, some days I work on 36 people.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a lot of people, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, 36 odd. Thursday, probably 25. And Friday, what do we have? Probably 15, 20. That's a lot of people in a week, especially now people are starting to get panic attacks and anxiety because of all the stuff that's going on in the world,
Let me ask you something, Christopher. Something has been happening to me over the last couple of weeks. I will hear a loud bang in the middle of the night, and it wakes me up. But my wife is sound asleep. Our golden doodle isn't disturbed. And I look around, sit up and look around. I walk around our home to see if everything is okay, and it is. And this has been happening every second or third night. And I'm just wondering, is it possible someone or something is trying to communicate with me? They're getting my attention, but I'm not doing what I should be doing to communicate with them.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to, and if only you hear it, then it's meant for you, of course. And so I think they're just trying to get your attention. Okay, well, you need to communicate, and it's by telepathy. So again, it's about telepathy is about stilling your mind, and once you still your mind, you can actually send thoughts out, and you'll receive them back. It's amazing, and it almost becomes like conversation. I mean, when I'm doing healing, I'm talking to Gizdat beings through telepathy. And they're talking to me back, I've got used to that, and, yeah, I mean, Mother Mary is the mother of the Gizdat beings down here. And when I got into trouble, when I was talking about things with the Vatican and things and got hit by a low-frequency energy weapon, they melted the cusp of the heart valve together because it's so big, it's the size of a volleyball. And the valve is bigger than the ones that got on the shelf. I had to have open heart surgery, and it was a weapon,
My Lord.
Low-frequency energy weapon. So, yeah, that wasn't pleasant.
Earlier in our interview, I think it was during the first segment, you mentioned star seeds.
Yeah.
What are they? Are they people that are from another planet, another dimension that somehow get into the impregnated woman? How does that work?
Well, what they do is, a starseed is somebody who's very evolved. Like, if you're a Palladian, like, take Archangel Michael, for example, he's an ancient Palladian, very evolved. Starseeds are normally very evolved. They've got a lot of wisdom. And of course, now, because the planet's going so south, they wanted people to come down, because the law of free will, the keys of Enoch, of course, you're not allowed to interfere unless 80% of the population decide that, the consciousness decides that, no, we don't want, for example, nuclear weapons. That happened in, I think it was 1986, and therefore they have permission to disable. That's why you'll never get a nuclear war on this planet now. But for the rest of it, there's so many things going on, and they're just sitting there saying, "Well, help us. What do we do?" So, what they need to do is get people born down here with the wisdom, so they can say, "Hey guys, we need you down here," because then you get over the free will, because it's the starseed's free will, and so they're pulling help from the ethers down here, and it's really important,
Exonation, our very special guest this hour is Dr. Christopher Macklin. His website is globalenlightenmentproject.com. And we're going to be talking to Christopher on the other side of this break about energy healing. And we're also going to talk to him about Greenland and some other very interesting things that are happening in the news that Christopher will be able to explain to us the cause and the effect that we just don't see, because we don't know how to look past the end of our own noses, so to speak. Christopher and I return on the other side of this break as the X-Zone continues right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the CanCom Broadcast Network, and streaming us around the world by our good friends at Classic 1220 CFAJ AM on classic1220.ca.
The port of Superior Town, a hold weighed down with steel, a proud old ship on the inland sea with a heart of iron and keel. The winds they whispered through November's chill. Where the mist rolls in from the river's bend, and the willow weeps for the long dead men. Cannon smoke and musket cries still echo under haunted skies. In the shadows by Queenston's hill, you can hear the marchers still, drums of doom and bayonets gleam, awakening soldiers from their dream. They rise from the ground when the moon turns pale, whispering names on a cold night's gale. Through the streets of Niagara on the lake they ride, ghostly eyes burning from the other side. Hear their boots on the cobblestone floor, the dead of 1812.
And welcome back. Dr. Christopher Macklin is my special guest this hour. Global Enlightenment Project.com. Christopher, you and I were talking before we came on air about this crazy, screwed up, upside down world that I don't think anyone would have ever imagined that all this would be going on within their lifetimes. I know I didn't. So far in my life, I had the Cold War with, when President Kennedy did his blockade, and we were just a sliver away from a nuclear war. And then we had, Vietnam. And then we had, I'm skipping over a lot of things, MK Ultra, going to COVID. And at the end of that, I thought, okay, the world is going to settle down. But I forgot one thing, the Trump factor. And I have never seen the world as on edge as it is these days. You know, it's... What's going on, Christopher?
There's a plan. There's definitely a plan. I mean, you know, love Trump or hate him, he's there to create chaos.
Oh, he's doing a good job, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's brilliant chaos.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that the deep state people, the people on, you know, money laundering, child trafficking, you name it, they're doing it. They're all in the government. They're in everybody's government, you know. They're all trying to, you know, steal the people's money, put taxes up, you know, keep you as a slave, everything else. It's so big and wide. It's in every country. And, you know, how do you get rid of it? Well, you need a military alliance, which they have, you know, of white hat military people who are implementing a very, very, I think, clever plan, because there's a lot of reverse psychology. You know, you can't just walk in and say, okay, you know, we're going to reset the world. Well, the cabal's still there. If you reset the world, the monetary system, everything else, the cabal will make loads of money out of it. And I think what they're doing is trying to starve the money of these cabal people so that they can't do, you know, they can't hire the people they've hired before, like Antifa, BLM, all these people, you know. So what they're doing is, you know, changing the whole oil thing, you know, because we're on a petrodollar.
Yeah.
They're changing the whole playing field of the oil. I mean, you know, and so the reverse psychology, for example, straight Hormuz, you know, ask Europeans, they get their oil from there, you know, from Iraq or wherever, you know, and come and help us. Oh no, we're not doing that. And then suddenly everyone wants to help now, you know, and you think, and you know, they're calling them out on it. They're showing a lot of these big organizations that they're just flakes, you know. And I think, or, you know, they're cabal-led people who just don't want to get involved until it suits them with the monetary side.
Well, you know what? I can understand NATO's not wanting to get involved because Trump did it all backwards. You know, he decided, all right, we're going to go to war. Bang. And then he said, well, you know, come on, guys, help me with the Strait of Hormuz. And I can understand NATO saying, well, wait a minute. You decided to go on your own and do this. Plus, NATO is a defense-based organization where if you attack one country, you attack them all. And President Trump has said in the past that NATO has never helped the United States, and yet NATO was the first organization to come to the aid of the United States as soon as there was an attack on 9/11.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think it's been infiltrated. You know, I think all these organizations have. And I think they're starting to, I mean, this, you know, this Green New Deal, you know, personally, I don't believe in it, I think. But the reason why I don't believe in it, I don't believe in taking the planet's oil either, because it's not, you know, it's not fossil fuel. It's the blood of the planet.
That's right.
You know,
yeah.
you bleed in the blood of the planet, and that's not okay either. However, you know, I think they know that within 5 years, the technology we have at our fingertips, and that's where Greenland and places like that come in, is beyond you can ever imagine. You know, anti-gravitational. You've got, you know, plasma drive, warp drive type things where you can travel so fast, you know, across galaxies. Time-space continuum switching systems where, you know, it's basically a Stargate. You know, you walk through Stargate. You know, I think we were saying before the show that, you know, if I wanted to come for a cup of coffee, I'd say, Rob, give me your coordinates, and you know, you dial them in, and then you'll just literally walk through your frame in your house. It's in the garage or whatever, and you'll be there in like seconds, you know. And you know, you'll have that ability. So the technology is going to be absolutely incredible.
Now you mentioned a connection with Greenland. What is that connection?
Well, yeah. So, you know, of course, Greenland, they keep saying, "Oh, we want the minerals." They're not interested in the minerals. They're interested in what's going on there. Greenland basically harbors one of the most tightly guarded concentrations of extraterrestrial activity on the planet. You know, off-world entities maintain like they've got hidden in the installations beneath the ice sheets. You know, they're working on advanced craft and technology beyond conventional human engineering, of course, propulsion systems that can instantaneously displace across vast distances and also switch dimensions as well. And, you know, they're benevolent. who's working there is actually tall greys, which are okay. The grey reticular are not okay. They're very aggressive. But the tall greys are actually helping humanity now, and also the tall blondes, which are Nordics. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're working with the tall greys, and they've established themselves in long-term kind of observation posts from Greenland, watching planetary development, and it dates back. This dates back for centuries.
Now, don't take this wrong, Christopher. But how do you know that? That's. I'm sure many people listening are saying, "What? Aliens in Greenland?"
I can remote view, so I can actually look at somewhere, and you can actually tune in, and I can see videos of what's down there in the cities and all that sort of thing, and the technology. I mean, do I know what it is? But I've certainly seen the technology, because when they use it, if you remote view it, you can see them switching out of this time and to a different planet even. I mean, I think there'll be a time when you'd be looking at brochures. Well, this year let's go to Jupiter. It's quite nice up there because I like the food, and we can have a vacation in one of the pods or whatever. And you literally just walk through your gate. It'll just be like a door frame, standing there, and you walk through that, and you'll suddenly be on Jupiter, walking through theirs, and you have your vacation, and then you walk back. It's seconds. These things happen in seconds. So stargates are really, really important.
All right. Now, we were also chatting before we went on air about the Golden Dome.
Yeah, this is actually quite important. So what's the Golden Dome? Well, basically, it's publicized as a missile defense system. Okay, whatever, but yes, it will do that, but it's kind of modeled on the fact of Israel's Iron Dome. But the true design actually extends way beyond missiles. It functions as a multi-dimensional field. So these principles align with America's territory, integrated with cosmic harmonics. So it's integrated with the cosmic harmonics, which means it's benevolent, it's not malevolent. Like the one we were under, which is actually broken down by 60%. They call it the firmament, but. So it's going to run at the frequency. Is going to be described as basically vibrating at 432 hertz, which is in sync with the planet and in sync with the human body, and it will power up the Earth ley lines as well. But the biggest thing is it blocks interdimensional incursions. What does that mean? Well, if you've got draconian craft or any low vibrational entities that's trying to want to get down here, they can't get through a high vibrational frequency. So it's basically going to be plasma energy, frequency, plasma energy, and of course the sun's plasma energy, and the sun's a sentient being, which is really interesting. It's got consciousness, so yeah, but like I said, the tall whites, greys. Well, sorry, the tall whites. I mean, the Nordics and the tall greys are there helping us with the technology, and there's obviously military people there as well, building this technology, and this is going to be available. So that's why I think all this thing about oil, who cares about oil? You won't need it in 5 to 10 years. You'll have zero energy. It's going to take energy out of the ethers. I mean, you can't. You'll have a little black box. It's got a massive coil in it. It transforms the energy down. It'll run forever. You might have a little battery just to make sure that, if it goes wrong, you can get like 30 miles to the nearest repair shop. But it could just drive forever until your bearings fall off,
I think that the oil is nothing else but a smoke screen for what is really going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been the cabal's money laundering system, and it's been the cabal's probably fear factor that, oh my God, we're running out of oil. Well, you'll never run out of it, because it's like it's like our bodies. I mean, Rob, if someone took like a pint of blood out of you, because they wanted blood transfusion, it's regenerated in 3 days? So the oil's the same. If you take billions of gallons, it's regenerated within weeks, and it'll never run out. So but do we need it? And the answer is no, we don't. What we need to do is start using the technology that we have available that's been suppressed, of course, because the whole thing's ran on oil. The
Yeah.
Bilderbergs, all these people, they're all interested in oil, and more oil. So yeah.
You and I have to take our final break, my good friend. When we come back, I'd like to get your opinion on why we really are going back to the moon. I think there's more to this than, what we're being told, and I'd like to get your take on this, Christopher.
Okay.
Exonation, our guest is Dr. Christopher Macklin. His website is Global Enlightenment Project.com, and Christopher and I will be back on the other side of this short break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And of course, as I always do each and every segment, thank our good friends at Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, who not only carry our show live Monday through Friday from 10 until midnight, but they also stream us around the world at classic1220.ca.
Haunted skies. In the shadows by Queenston's Hill, you can hear the marchers still. Drums of doom and bayonets gleam, awakening soldiers from their dream. They rise from... From Newfoundland shores to the peaks so grand, we walk together united in this land. Every culture, every heart, a story to unfold. In this living tapestry, our pride is bold. With the wheat fields waving under skies so wide, we carry within us the Canadian pride. It's more than a passport, it's a bond, it's a song. To be Canadian, where we all belong. Oh, proud to be Canadian, our spirits soar high, with values that connect us like stars in the sky. We stand for each other through thick and through thin, in this beautiful mosaic, together we win. Oh, proud to be Canadian, let the anthem...
Exonation, our guest this hour is Dr. Christopher Macklin. And Chris, before we go any further, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to
it's a pleasure.
come on the show.
I love doing it. I love it. It's like two friends just sitting there. You're in Canada, I'm in Missouri, but like by the fire, having a cup of coffee and just talking because I love it. So.
And also, like I was saying, please thank your staff, Dwana, for all her hard work that she does in coordinating these interviews.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Rob. Bless your heart.
Okay, my friend. Now, before I went to the break, I was saying that I would like to get your spin on why we are really going back to the moon. I just don't think it's a stepping stone to Mars. I don't think that it's got anything to do with it may have to do with helium-3 and unknown energy sources, but something just doesn't sit right.
Well, I don't know whether we actually went there or not, because the firmament's not broken down. It's very difficult to get out the firmament. I mean, for example, Elon Musk's rockets stay under the firmament and they put satellites in orbit. But if you go through the firmament, sometimes there's some slight areas where you can actually get through. It's breaking down, and I think about 60%. But I don't believe it happened. I think it was just a show. Yeah, I think it was just a show, like it was in 1960. So yeah.
Interesting, because there are a number of people out there who believe in the lunar conspiracy that America never went to the moon.
I don't think they did, because I think they know that, I mean, the moon's a ship, it's created, it's been created and it's been put there. It was driven there, a long, long time ago. But and in fact, I remember NASA coming out and said they've discovered that the moon's going rusty. What? The moon's going rusty. And and I was thinking, well, maybe we'd eat all pop up there and get some Rust-Oleum and paint it a little bit to stop it from rusting. But it's a ship. It's a space station. It's not a planet. So I mean, I've remote view inside it. It's very big inside. It's got different layers, and it's got different caverns where people are doing different things. But I think on the dark side, there's definitely German Nazis there. So I think they're concerned if they go there, there might be a massive conflict in space. So I think that's why they haven't been back there. And I think they were warned, don't come here. So yeah.
How can they keep this information away from the people? Like, how is it possible to keep a cover-up of this magnitude?
I mean, the problem is people, I don't know, it's, sometimes they get programmed, and I think if you keep people busy for the sake of being busy and they're anxious all the time because they're in debt and all this sort of thing, the whole thing is a psyop, and so they don't really look outside the box. What they're doing is just trying to survive, I mean, the whole system is a slave system. I mean, everyone's stressed about money, stressed about this. I mean, I don't, I couldn't care less about money. I didn't even count it. The accountant counts it. They count the beans. I just do the healings, and as long as it's enough to pay the people, I don't care, And I know God's always got my back, but I think it's really important to step off that hamster wheel of life and really take some time for yourself. People say, well, I haven't got the time. Well, make the time, You've got to,
In fact, speaking about healings, Dewana wanted me to remind our audience that you conduct free healing sessions twice weekly. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I was bankrupt, I had no money, and I always make sure people get a healing. So Thursday evening, and it's 5 p.m. Central Time, and Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time, we do an hour's healing, and we do it on Zoom, so you can join on Zoom. We do it on our Facebook, Global Enlightenment Project. We do it on, we stream it to Telegram, X, and Rumble. I was thrown off YouTube, unfortunately, but that's just life. But we do it on all the rest of them, and we get a lot of people on Rumble. So if you look for Global Enlightenment Project or Divine Healing, you'll see it on Rumble, and you can also watch the replays, because I always make sure that anyone on social media now and in the future will get the healing. So if people struggling, they can play it every day, and and it covers everything.
How do you conduct these healings? How does it work?
Basically, start off where if someone's there, I'll remote view, see what's going on. If it's cancer tumor, see how big it is, and primary cause of cancer, of course, for example, is emotion. Secondary cause is pathogens mutating the cells. And then what we do is I put them in a portal. So basically, open a portal from the ultimate dimension is where the Melchizedek is from. 8 portals around them, close it off and eat them. And then I bond it into 27 esoteric Merkaba fields. That means they're in a safe space, because you can't do healings if you've got all these entities around trying to manipulate everything. And once I've done that, Melchizedek beings can come through, and it's like psychic surgery. I can guide them in, right, can you do this, can you do that? And that's how the healings work, and give them energy. There's 2 types of energy. If you've got pathogens, stealth pathogens like Brilli Lyme, HIV/AIDS, Agent Orange, or if you've got Morgellons, which is the nano, which is, of course, in that needly thing. If you've got that, I give you space-time continuum. It's very electrostatic. It does break the stuff down, but we developed a protocol to strip all that stuff out of the body, including the needly thing. So, and then, you just look around and see what needs working on. Oh, liver's running low, thyroid's being blocked because of emotion, pancreas. A lot of people are suffering from digestive issues at the moment. The reason for that is mainly because emotion bleeds into the pancreas, paralyzes the pancreas, so it's not producing enzymes, so you're not breaking your food down. So, I look at all these things, strokes, we work on strokes, we work on cancers, we work on intestinal issues, gallbladder issues, everything, muscle issues. A lot of people have lower back issues because, the spine, if you've got emotion, the IT band at the side of the thigh pulls your hips out, and so if you're walking off balance, your disc is going to bulge. If you leave it like that too long, it'll bulge permanently, and so they can replace it, so things like that. So yeah, it's quite in depth. I mean, it's an hour, so it covers a lot of things: eyes, sinuses, ears.
My goodness.
Osteoporosis, parathyroid, and all this sort of thing. So yeah.
So people can join your sessions for a checkup and a tune-up.
Yeah, they can join every week, and we get a lot of people on because I think it's extraordinary times. The biggest thing I'm seeing with mental health is anxiety, and especially they're having like panic attacks. People are just losing it a bit.
Yeah.
And I can understand it. I mean, I keep telling them, look, it's happened as a movie. We've got no influence on that. Let's just focus on our life and get the joy back in your life. And even eating, I don't know whether you felt it yourself, Rob, but I don't know what to eat every day. I think, what do I feel like?
Yeah.
Nothing. And then, you find something, you eat it, it sits there like a brick. And again, because of emotion bleeding into the lower intestine, but also the pancreas. So, people are struggling.
Not only that, today's food is just filled with chemicals and
dreadful.
And even plastic. So come on, it's incredible what we put our bodies through on a daily basis. Not only the amount of emotional stress and how our mental bodies are just totally out of whack.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like microplastics, you've got
Exactly.
stuff in like you say, food. You've got stuff in the water. It's in the air, and that's why people are trying to get supplements. But I mean, people are programmed that you're supposed to eat loads of greenery. If you do, you'll get oxalates, you get toxins because you don't have full stomachs like a cow to digest it properly. And oxalates can cause lots of problems, like kidney stones and all these sort of things. So, yeah, and we detox the body, of course. So
Sure.
I can switch it out, time-space continuous switching, so it draws it out energetically, all the toxins and heavy metals, microplastics and oxalates. So, yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive healing. So,
well, that's great. I'm sure that we'll get our listeners to go over there and to join. What do they do? Just go to globalenlightenmentproject.com?
Yeah, and you can join, using Zoom. You can
Sure.
be on the Zoom call. I run it on the Zoom call. I also run it from StreamYard on, like I say, X, Global Enlightenment Project, or Facebook. What's the other one? Rumble, and there's another one. Oh yeah, Instagram. Yeah, so I run it on those as well.
All right, I have a question for you because we're coming down to the end of the show in about 2.5 minutes. What is the biggest threat to humanity's spiritual evolution right now, Christopher?
I think the biggest threat is really removing the deep state and getting them out of governments so that people can start feeling better again and getting out of the enslavement that we've been in for since the 1800s, late 1800s. We've been in enslavement, and get rid of this private West Central Bank. I think the biggest thing, because if we have the wrong people in, you're going to get 15-minute cities. You're going to have no power, no anything, no technology, no nothing. And I think that's the biggest threat at the moment. I think if that can be dismantled, which it is being, and it's caused a lot of chaos, I think once we're through that, they say the golden age is coming, and I really think it is. I think once you're out in enslavement, all this inflation, I mean, they reckon the dollar bill's now worth 3 cents. I think it is, so you need lots of dollar bills to buy anything. It's insane, so once that's stopped, I think people can sit, breathe, relax. You can afford to live on one wage, and somebody can be at home looking after the kids. You don't have to worry about money.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I know that.
Well, it used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be like that, and now there's no chance.
Yeah.
So.
What are you paying for gas in Missouri? A gallon.
$3.19.
And what were you paying before?
A few weeks ago, it was $2.02.
Ouch! Yeah. Christopher, the time has come, my friend, when you and I must say so long for now, but let our listeners know how they can contact you and remind them about your healing sessions.
Yeah, so if you want to contact us, if you go to the website globalenlightenmentproject.com, and you can sign up for the healing. You have to sign up for it on Zoom, but you can also just listen on Facebook, YouTube, not YouTube, sorry, we've been banned from them, but all the other channels. And if you want the telephone number of the office, it's 417-334-6200. The girls are there, from 9 till 5 Central Time, and they take your calls. And we've got staff. They've got about 9 staff in totals, because I couldn't do all this on my own.
Christopher, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us, my good
Rob.
friend. Blessings to you and one and all at your end, and I look forward to the next time you're with us here in the X Zone.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
God bless.
God bless
Take
you too,
care.
my friend.
God bless.
Once again, Exonation, if you'd like to contact Dr. Christopher Macklin, www.globalenlightenmentproject.com. And don't forget, check online about the healing sessions that are held twice a week by the good doctor. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the CanCom Broadcast Network and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, streaming us at classic1220.ca.
It's more than a passport, it's a bond, it's a song to be Canadian, where we all belong.